leg where the flake is going to be removed. It's out here away from my leg, right there, so the flake can release cleanly. If I was to do it up here, like a lot of nappers do, I'm pretty sure that most of these flakes would either end in a step fracture or a hinge, and they'd stop short. It's got to be free to basically peel away from the biface like that so that it can terminate cleanly. Okay, it's light enough now where I'm going to start supporting it more on the side of my leg here. Okay, here's what can happen if you have this touching your leg. I was trying to hold it away from my leg on the outside of my leg, and it ended up touching a little bit right at the moment of impact. So the first flake went like that, and I just put the flake back on and hit it again, removed another one, but kind of chewed it up a little bit. It's not too awful bad, but that's an example of what can happen by holding it against your leg. Got to rebuild that platform. Try again. Rebuild the platform right there. It's more like it. Okay, this face here is pretty well set up for now. I'm going to work the backside a little bit. I just removed the one over here. Just got rid of that problem there that where I had that double hit over here earlier. Continue on over here a little bit. Right in here. Might hinge out over here because there's an updraft or an uphill right there. Let's see. Okay, now we'll come back and get this one. Just finishing up this face, and call it good enough for today and finish it up tomorrow. Here's that little divot from that double hit. Remains in there. Try and remove that or get close to it right now. There it is. Right there where my finger is. Okay, that's enough for today. We'll finish it up tomorrow. Basically got it thinned down and light enough to where it'll be fairly easier to work on it now. Got about a little over 5 hours of work in it altogether so far, and right at just under 24 inches total length here. So we haven't really lost any length. I may lose an inch or so in the finishing up of it, but try and retain as much as we can. So we'll get back to this tomorrow. Alright, it's a new day here. I'm going to get started on this thing. Lost a little more width here than I'd hoped for, but for the thickness, I think it's going to come out okay though. Set up another one. Okay, here's the next one. Setting these platforms up pretty low in that direction so that I don't risk getting too thick of a flake and possibly breaking the thing. I missed that. I'm going to have to hit it over here. Alright, we're going to take one off over here instead and then come back and get that. That way this here will be a little bit more defined. Should be easier to go. A lot of times, for me anyway, when I'm first starting out on a new day, sometimes it just takes a little while to get into the groove. And once you get in there, if you can just stay there, that's the ticket. Not quite as good as I'd hoped. I think it'll be okay. We'll make one over here and come back this way. Alright, try right in here now. See if we can correct these errors from the last two flakes here. My aim is off this morning. Too much coffee or something. Try again. It's a little better. I've still got a little area right in there. And that's a little better. I'm just going right down this face right here, trying to establish a pattern. Alright, here's the next one. At this stage of the game, I'm trying to pay a lot of attention to the depth of the platform. In other words, how close it is to this face. It's really critical. If it's too close to the center, you're going to get too thick of a flake. If it's too far in this direction, it may not travel the distance that you want. And that's how you're going to get a nice, smooth, straight edge on here, is by having that just to the right depth. Going back to this big one here. Alright, we'll get this over here. I'm going to drop back down to a smaller bopper. I think this big heavy bopper I used a minute ago, the follow through on it after the original flake released kept on traveling forward, and it hit the edge in another spot and it created a little bit of damage right there. It's not too bad, but I think if I'd used a smaller billet that wouldn't have happened. I do like having the edge kind of rounded and not too pointed. These boppers can get real pointed at any stage of the game, but I don't want them too pointed because then they don't really contact enough surface area when they impact it. So a little more pointed than I want, but I tried to flatten it out with a hammer here a minute ago. See if we can get a flake to come off in here. Alright, here's the next one I'd like to remove right after this previous one we just took. But if you can see on here, there's a high spot right over in here, and I'm sure if I take this flake it's going to dive down and hinge and terminate right before that high spot right there. So instead, I'm going to come over here, set up a